welcome to the African Utility Week studio. My name is Amy Ryan, Deputy Editor of Metering and Smart Energy International. Today I have with me Franco Pucci, who is the Technical Consultant at STS Association. Welcome, Frank, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Amy.
I'd like to start the interview with some of the current STS activities and projects that you have going at the moment. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. The STS Association over many years has had a relatively stable and good, well-working system. Over the last few years we took a decision to enhance some aspects of STS. Predominantly the encryption algorithms to allow the meter to do more, to allow the vending systems to perform better and more functions. So as of 2 years ago we embarked on development of a new key management center. We updated the international IEC specification to include better and stronger algorithms. And we're in the process now of getting edition 3 of the international standard published, which will include all of these, including the ability to do currency tokens, which means that prepayment meters can now be used for time of use applications, which they couldn't before. So those are all changes we've done to meet market requirements. Most of our input comes from the market. When we get the input, we look at it, and if it's a viable proposition, we of course change the specification.
Okay. And tell me, what are some of the more current or some of the more pertinent challenges associated with smart metering in Africa?
Look, smart metering, the name smart metering has been around for a while, as we all know. And smart metering in Europe can mean something totally different to smart metering in Africa. You know, in Europe you have very stable networks, you have very good communication infrastructure. In Africa you have slightly less stable networks and communication. So I think a smart meter in Africa needs to be a slightly different animal to a smart meter in Europe. Now, nobody is saying that smart metering won't work in Africa. Of course it will work. It would be wonderful to have connectivity to a meter, being able to read what the network is doing, being able to send credit to a meter, switch it on and off remotely. It's fine. It just needs to be a meter that is suited for an African market. And I think a lot of the suppliers from Europe, I think, need to realize that. Design us a meter that works in Africa. It'll do its job beautifully. But don't give us a meter that costs more than the house you're putting it into, essentially. So I think those are some of the challenges we need to seriously consider. It's a downscaled smart meter. And in that light, we are developing a standard called NRS 049, a national standard in South Africa, which encompasses the requirements that came out of the municipalities in South Africa. What do they require from a smart meter? We've taken that step. Now I think the manufacturers of the smart meter, let's look at that and design us a meter that's cheap enough, reliable enough to work under these conditions, because African conditions are not the best. Very harsh environment, and I'm sure it'll do a fantastic job. But a smart meter doesn't preclude prepayment at all. Prepayment will fit beautifully into a smart meter environment.
That brings me to my third question, around localized solutions and the lack thereof. Do you think that there does exist a lack of localized solutions for the African markets? Can you comment on that?
Look, although there's a lot of manufacturers, well, actually not that many, manufacturers in South Africa that make local product, those manufacturers need to stick abreast with the times as well. Okay, they're used to supplying prepayment meters which have done an admirable job over the last 20 or 30 years. And they will keep supplying these meters because that market will not disappear in a hurry. As far as smart metering is concerned, some of the local manufacturers are turning to their parent companies who already have smart meters in Europe. To me, that that is not quite what we need. We need a local solution, simply because these people understand the environment they're in. They've been dealing with this environment for 20 or 30 years. I would love to see a locally developed smart meter by the local people that have been in prepayment for so long, and integrate the prepayment standards into that meter.
And then do you think that that is a large contributing factor to some of the smart metering rollouts that have been kind of deemed unsuccessful or staggered maybe of late?
Look, I think we needed to dip our feet into the water at some stage.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the local guys, it's a huge investment to generate a smart meter, design a smart meter.
Yeah.
So to me, it's probably a good thing that we took that step. A failure to me is just as good as a non-failure, because you've learned something. Now we need to take the next step. Okay, if that didn't work, what went wrong? How do we fix it? If it did work, great. Other people know what to follow. Okay, so it's a valuable lesson learned, whether they worked or not. But it's a step that needed to be taken. I don't think the implementation of smart meter pilots in South Africa, whether they passed or failed, I don't think it was a wasted effort. I think it was a great thing to do. And I would love the municipalities to carry on doing this. At the same time, I'd love the local manufacturers to start developing a smart meter. And who knows? Either the overseas companies will give us a smart meter we need, and it will work, or the local guys will. Either way, we will get into smart metering probably within 5 to 6 years. It's not going to be something that we get in 2017 or even 2018 or even 2019. It'll take a long time. Currently we have maybe 5.5 to 6 million meters in Eskom, and maybe another, I'm not sure how many, but maybe another 10 million throughout the country. It's a lot of meters to replace.
And then what advice would you give municipalities and utilities in Africa who are considering smart meter deployment?
Firstly, what do they want to achieve with a smart meter? If it's only communication, it need not be a full-blown smart meter, two-way communication. If they want to achieve the ability to read the data, then they need to be prepared to be able to handle the huge amount of data that they will get. And that to me is a problem which maybe not too many people have considered. Right now, I would say that the data that comes back from a prepayment system is minimal. It's only what you get back from meter audits, and it's only what you get back from the vending systems. But once you've got a smart meter park running, and you're getting back network data, you're getting back purchasing history, you're getting back minimum demands, maximum demands, time of use data, it's a lot of data. Will they use it? If they won't, then slim down your specifications. Start off with what you want. A smart meter by its very nature should be upgradable anyway. Start with the minimum, and over time, once you can handle what you've got, then add to its portfolio or to its capabilities. But I don't think we should not consider smart meters. We have to. Just take it slowly and do it properly.
And then considering that, correct me if I'm wrong, that many of the meters that are installed in the South African context and in Africa, and take into account that prepaid meters in itself is being installed still today in many African countries. Do you think that, take into account smart metering, do you think that the smart prepayment model would be the next logical step for utilities in Africa?
Yes, look, as I said earlier, Amy, a smart meter can still handle prepayment. I think prepayment is a wonderful thing. And that's why you look at countries like Indonesia, where they're up to almost 30 million installed meters in a matter of years, is working for them. It's working for South Africa. The amount of non-technical losses has dropped dramatically since the introduction of prepayment. people enjoy it. They love it because they can budget with it. So I don't think taking prepayment away by introducing smart meters is the right move.
Yeah.
A smart meter does a lot more than just put credit in a meter.
Yeah.
It monitors networks. It allows you to create a better network if you have the ability and the staff and the will to actually make it better. Prepayment to me is almost a must-have.
Yeah.
And that's why I think if you consider smart metering, you should definitely consider prepayment with it. Then use the other abilities a smart meter gives you to improve your network, or to see what you should at least improve. But don't leave it out.
Thank you so much, Franco. Thank you for your insight into the metering world in Africa. That unfortunately is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Amy Ryan coming to you from the African Utility Week studio. Thank you.